Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Multifamily Chronicles, and I'm your host, Adrian Daniela. My guest today is Neida Urias. Neida is the Talent and Engagement Manager with Dweck Properties. Welcome to the show, Neida.
Hey, Adrian. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
Neida, I wanted to say that you and I have been connected on LinkedIn for a number of years. I always admire your grit, your passion. I admire your hustle. I love seeing how people, are very passionate about their work. They're putting it out there, and I love people that hustle. I'm one of them myself. So I'm super excited to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Same, likewise. I love all of your posts and everything that you're doing, especially for the maintenance team. So keep going. And so I'm so thrilled to be here today talking to you.
Thank you. For the audience, for the part of the audience that, are not really connected with you, Neida, and for, the ones that don't know much about you, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, about your background, how you got to the position that you are in today?
Sure. So I have been in the property management and human resources field for over 12 years. I started my recruiting career at Southern Management back in 2010, and I started as a recruiting assistant. I knew nothing of HR, and my boss then took a chance on me. I was green, knew nothing. And once I really joined and I was doing the recruitment, I fell in love with it. It was the side of HR that you help people. I used to think of HR like they're the bad guys. And so just being part of this side where you can help people change their lives, and, in many different ways, I really fell in love with that. Then I eventually, worked my way up to my career. Before I left Southern, I was there for 8 years. I was the talent acquisition specialist. And by that time, I was recruiting for both property management and hospitality. So I was leading their hospitality recruitment. And I also was part of the hotel opening team for the University of Maryland at College Park location. That was 300 rooms, 150 open positions, and it took a lot of hustle, a lot of career fairs, a lot of everything to really try to recruit for an independent hotel. And so after that, I successfully helped to open the hotel, staff it up, and then I got recruited. I went to Legend Management as their talent acquisition manager. They were a growing company. They used to outsource their recruiting, and they needed to bring it in-house. So I came on board to do that. So I really established their whole recruiting process from beginning to the end, implemented a lot of policies, processes, procedures. So, really just improved the whole hiring life cycle for them. I was there for about 2.5 years, and then I was recruited again, and I came to Dweck Properties. And Dweck was in a pretty different, very unique place, right? Because they used to own their properties and outsource to third-party management. They were transitioning to own and manage in-house. And so, of course, with that, they needed an in-house recruiting team. So once again, I joined Dweck to really help to establish and build their recruitment. I joined as the Senior Talent and Engagement Advisor, and now I recently got promoted to the Talent and Engagement Manager, and now I have also a Talent Acquisition Specialist, Tina, and so we're both working together on recruiting the best talent for Dweck. And then also on the side, I also do help others, candidates as well, for individual purposes, like revamping resumes, career coaching, interview coaching, sprucing up LinkedIn profiles, because being on the recruiting side of things, I see amazing resumes, and then I see other resumes that I'm like, oh, you need work. So I know exactly what recruiters are looking for. So I also help with that.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Would you like to share maybe your LinkedIn profile. How could people find you on LinkedIn in case that, they're watching the episode and, they need help with, with some resume writing, with some LinkedIn profile adjustment?
Yeah, for sure. So you could just find me as Nada Urias, comma, Sherm dash CP. So it's comma, SHRM dash CP. And I'm also connected to Adrian. So you can also find me usually on Adrian's posts, always tag there or liking it or commenting. So you can find me that way too, if you can't find me on the search bar.
Nada, I wanted to ask you next, right? First of all, I wanted to say this. I don't think that recruiting is a science. If it was a science, everybody would have gotten it down by now, right? So it's a lot of trial and error, and it changes all the time. Also, people think that recruiting is it's an event. We have open position, we have to recruit. Mm-hmm. My personal opinion is that actually it's an ongoing process. We should always recruit. We should always recruit for all of our positions all the time. What's your take on that? Do you agree, disagree?
I completely agree. We are really in an era where recruiting is not just solely recruiting. We wear multiple hats. Aside from recruiting and HR, we also are salesperson, we're marketers. We are really, the face of the company, right? So we are the first voice that usually people hear when they are applying to jobs. And nowadays, with the internet and places like Glassdoor, where people can really learn so much about a company before they join the company, I think it's super important for recruiters to always, and on an ongoing basis, promote and brand the company, the roles, the culture, or even if it's not always just recruiting, just even also just giving some sort of tips or insights or anything like that to connect with people, because we are in a position where we're dealing with people on a daily basis, right? We're helping to change people's lives. And it's super important to definitely help people with that.
I want to pick up on something that you just said. You mentioned a few things and a few tips, right? I wanted to ask you, Nada, what are a few things that you're doing at Dweck to recruit the best talent?
Yeah, well, we are very untraditional, unconventional in the way that we do things. We want to be different on purpose, and we are open to other ways of recruiting, right? So we're used to recruiting people who only have industry experience or have, the knowledge in-house or, within the industry, but we're like, let's look outside. Sometimes the best talent that we can find are someone who's hungry, wants to learn, wants to grow. They maybe haven't had the chance, the opportunity. Someone hasn't, opened the door for them yet. And so we are that company where, yes, we hire for experience for sure, no doubt, but we also do want to hire people without experience. And because we can help you grow, we'll train you, we'll help you grow in your career, we'll develop your skill set, and you'll definitely be learning with us. So for us, like I said, we are very open.
I love that you're saying a few things about what happened after recruiting, right? Because we always think about, of course, we have job vacancies we need to fill. And then we're focusing on that and we're spending all our time and energy on getting people into the door. But then the question is, what happened to people after we bring them into the door, right? You mentioned a few things. So that brings me to the next question. And the question is, what do you think 2022 type of training should look like in an ideal situation? What would it look like to you?
Yeah, I definitely think to have a variety of training, right? So some people are visual, they learn by seeing things. Some people like to touch, feel, do it, themselves. Others just can listen, right? And they will grasp the information. So I think nowadays with videos and pictures and all different type of audios. I mean, there's so much you can find online on YouTube, on Google and everything that you can use whenever you're training. I think that it's very important to have a structured training though, right? Not just putting anything together on a slideshow, is really thinking about, okay, what does my audience need? What do they need to learn? Depending on the type of training, the type of class that you're going to be facilitating, then you know what you're going to set up. If it's an onboarding, make sure to describe the culture, make sure to, welcome them into the company. If it's for a career path, make sure if is my audience entry level? Are they, mid-level experience or advanced level experience? And you want to make sure that you are going to be interacting and engaging with your audience, the right way. So you want to make sure that you have the right amount of content, the hands-on activities, and just implementing all of that. Another thing that I always like to do as well with my trainings, at the end, I like to use a game called Kahoot. It's called Kahoot, and it's spelled K-A-H-O-O-T exclamation mark. So what I like about that game is that it's competitive, it's fun, and I always use that at the end of the training because I like to find out, okay, did you guys really learn something, or was I really up here just talking? And I announce it at the end, so it's a surprise. So it's not like people are, waiting for it. It's a surprise at the end. They win a prize, a gift card, or something like that. And it's maybe about like 10 questions. You can customize your questions. And it's really about everyone pulls out their phone and you connect to Kahoot, to the game. And it's like whoever answers the fastest to the question gets the most points. So the whole purpose of that is whoever answers the quickest gets the most points. And then at the end, that's the winner. So that really brings out a lot of like friendly competition, and people really you really start to see people brighten up and they're excited about it. And it just shows that, okay, they did learn because then they start thinking out loud, and then it's like, wait, don't think, don't say your answers out loud, just park it on your phone. And that is always a nice way too. So incorporating different things, activities, fun quizzes, things like that will definitely engage your audience.
Engagement is a big deal for sure.
Yes, it is.
One question now, Neda, is there's many maintenance professionals out there, and I will say that not everybody is very specialized in when it comes to selling themselves, to packaging themselves, to make themselves, to actually highlight what they're great at, right? One of the ways is, really a resume. The other way would be a social media profile. And in particular, I'm thinking LinkedIn profile, right? So for those that apply for maintenance opportunities, right? I want to know what a recruiter would be looking at, and what are the things that are important to catch the eye of a recruiter, catch their attention. And then also based on your experience, if you would like to share a few things that you see like patterns that people don't necessarily focus on, and they should, and maybe give them some advice when it comes to resume writing, and when it comes to building their social media profiles to make them appealing to a recruiter like you.
Yes. So first I'll touch on resumes. I always say to people, your resume tells your work story, right? So that's like your book of your work life. That tells your experience, where you come from, your skill set, what talents you have, any interests, hobbies, things like that. So your resume speaks for you first. Your resume is usually the first point of contact that a recruiter has, right? You usually apply online, it goes to a recruiter, they're the first person that sees it, and the recruiter is kind of like the gatekeeper that says, okay, this resume has what we need or not, right? So you got to make it past the application system, make it past the recruiter to get to the hiring manager. Now, we are zipping through resumes as recruiters, right? So we have many resumes to review on a daily, and we're trying to fill jobs as quickly as possible. There has been a study that showed that recruiters take about 7 seconds to 10 seconds to actually skim through a resume. So that means that your resume has to really stand out to the recruiter to say, okay, this person has the experience. So I always say to people, I know resume writing is a pain because I do it on the side, right? So it takes time. There's a lot of thinking that you have to put into it. And, there's, you got to structure your resume and all that. And so I know that sometimes it could be frustrating for people, but definitely have your updated contact information, super important. Sometimes we get resumes and we're calling a person, we're emailing them, their email bounces back, or the number is no longer in service. Those are super important. We cannot get in contact with you. And then you may be wondering why no one has called you or reached out to you because your contact information isn't up to date. Now, also in terms of like your technical skills, definitely want to show if you have plumbing, electrical, or whatnot, or if it's for any other role, you want to show any specific technical skills. Also any software, in our industry, we use like Yardi and OneSite and all that. So make sure you list that on there. And then also even in property management, it's always nice to, when you lay out your work history, the different jobs that you've held, it's nice to put the size of the property. So I maybe worked at a 296 unit community. Maybe it was a B class garden style, or anything like that. It's nice to describe and give a little bit more information, because then the recruiter can say, oh, okay, great. This person has experience at a large property or a small property or whatnot. So giving those details is very important. And so you want to make sure that your resume will speak to that. Then when you create your LinkedIn is a very, very amazing way and resource to get recruited. I myself have been recruited multiple times. I got hired through LinkedIn twice. So I know that it works. It really, really does work. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm even on LinkedIn sometimes looking for maintenance techs. And I wish that they were on LinkedIn, because I'm like, if you were on LinkedIn, we could connect, we could talk, and we can start this process, quickly, right? Because sometimes LinkedIn won't share the person's contact information and things like that. If a maintenance tech does have a LinkedIn, they may not check it for a while. And so when they do end up logging in, they have so many messages from months or years ago that they missed out on different opportunities. So LinkedIn is definitely a great way to get recruited. So make sure that your LinkedIn mirrors your resume, your LinkedIn profile picture, your work history, your skill sets, any accomplishments, certifications, things like that are so important, because on our end, on the recruiting side, we will do a search in LinkedIn on the recruiter end, and we're putting keywords, we're putting in city, state, we're putting, job titles, different things that will just give us a search, a full search result of what we're looking for. And, we want to make sure that we're reaching out to the correct people. And so you want to make sure that you're not missing out on those opportunities on your LinkedIn as well. And connect with many recruiters. I always tell people, connect with recruiters. Recruiters become best friends with them, like their posts, comment, send them messages, interact, engage with recruiters, because you never know when they may have an opportunity and, they're going to reach out to you directly. You're connected to them. You're their first point of connection in their network. Great way to get recruited.
You're making a great point here with engagement, right? And I wanted to say engage, period. It's so valuable. It's so valuable, not just with recruiters. Because, for example, someone might be in a management position. They might know of an opportunity. They might not even be in a management position currently. But let's say that they're a leasing agent. And then 2 months later, they get promoted to assistant community manager. And the community needs a service manager. Just think about that. You've been interacting with a person, not about a job, not even about the industry. You literally just have a report with that person. They know of you. Well, how many people do you think that an assistant or a leasing agent or an assistant manager would be interacting with on LinkedIn? I will guess for the most part, not too many, right? So the opportunity comes to mind. This is how it's human behavior, how human mind works. When the opportunity comes up, right? And that particular individual might not even be the hiring manager. They just work there and they just happen to know of an opportunity.
Exactly.
I promise you that the first person that they would think about would be you.
Yeah.
If you are that person that engages. Do you disagree?
Yeah, correct. I definitely agree. Super, super important. You know, LinkedIn is a great way to network. I know that for a while, people kind of looked at LinkedIn like, oh, you know, I don't want to get on LinkedIn, or it's like Facebook. Yeah, but it's a professional networking resource, you know, and I've used it, been successful at it. And like you said, sometimes I may not have an opportunity for a person yet, but maybe months down the line, they reach out to me, send me a message. Hey, Nada, you know, my property's being sold. Do you have an opportunity? Or, you know, I saw your post, or I saw someone share your post, and, you know, can we just talk, you know? And so I'm always open to that because, yeah, you never know. Never know. I always leave the door open.
That's an excellent point too. You know, never close the door behind you, never burn any bridges, right?
Right, exactly.
So we have talked about the gatekeeper, right? And how is a gatekeeper looking at candidates coming in? And sometimes there's a lot of candidates.
Yes, a lot.
Let's say that you made a cut, you passed the gatekeeper, right? So now the next step is going to be the interviewing process for someone, and especially for a maintenance candidate, right? Because I wanted to be able to help. I have a good following of maintenance professionals. They're following my blog posts and my podcast, and also me on LinkedIn and Facebook. I wanted to see if you would share some practical tips for them when it comes to interview. How should they prepare themselves for the interview? What should they expect during the interviewing process? And how could they make themselves to stand out, to be the candidate of choice for that particular recruiter or hiring manager?
Right. Now, I'll say that even starts at the pre-screening process with the recruiter. Like once the recruiter reaches out to you and says, hey, you know, I have an open position. Are you interested? That's your time to talk about yourself, to showcase your abilities, right? That's your time to become friends with the recruiter. The recruiter is going to be your friend through the process. They're going to want to vouch for you. So become close, become cool with your recruiter. So once you go through that process with the recruiter, and the recruiter's like, wow, they have a great personality, great attitude, wow, their experience, they seem to be a good fit for our company, our culture, or the team environment or whatnot, you know, their skill set seems to be amazing for what we are looking for. That's the first step, I think, that you have to make sure that you pass through. When you go to the in-person interview with the hiring manager, it's super important. Number one, make sure you're there on time. And even after, when you're there, really just talk about your experience. And if you don't have the experience, it's okay to sometimes say, you know, I'm not too experienced in that, but I'm willing to learn. I want to grow in this, you know, I would love to learn more about it. I'm a fast learner, you know, or this is something that I've been passionate about. And so, you know, I want to definitely be part of this team. I know you guys have opportunities for growth. I read your website. So I know that we're busy, but we have to make time for the things that we want. And we want a new job, we want a better life, a better career, a better company to work for. So you have to put in the work. It's kind of like when you're dating, right? When you're like dating someone, you're like, you know, showing your best foot forward, you know, take them out and nice dinners and dates and everything, and you're friendly and everything. So it's the same thing like when you're interviewing, right? You're putting your best foot forward. You are really trying to show up and just be better than anyone else that you're in competition to. Because you got to remember, right now, maintenance techs especially are like in high demand, you know, so we want to hire the best techs. And yeah, you might have the experience, but if you come to the interview with like a low attitude, or you just seem like you really don't want to be there, not excited or anything, then, you know, you just did yourself a disservice. So definitely show up as your best self. And that's going to be super important for you through the entire process.
Yeah, I do want to point out, right, if you're not going to be able to show your best self, or if your best self is not going to be good enough to impress someone on a management side, honestly, what they could expect from you after you start, because it's Like
right.
everybody's gonna be looking at, you know, the best game, someone's best game when it comes to in-person interviewing, right? And
Exactly.
if you're not really leaving a good impression, don't ever expect that later down the road, an employer will hope that you will develop some skills to become, you know, a more impressive presence. Right. So definitely put all of your focus on your and your energy into just having a great, impressive presence in person. Exactly. So, of course, going back to my previous remark, right, there was recruiting is not a science, really. It's a lot of trial and error. Neda, I would like to ask you if you had some things that, you know, you will and you would you would like to share with your peers, with recruiters, some of the things that you learn to be working, some of the things that, you know, they should be looking for.
Yeah. So I definitely had many trials and errors. I have not been perfect at all in my journey. Still, after 12 years, I'm still learning. I still take, you know, online webinars, and I attend conferences and everything, because I'm always trying to stay up to date. So I think that that's very important. As recruiters, we got to continue educating ourselves. Times change. When I first started recruiting, things are not the same now. So you got to keep up with the times, right? And sometimes, yes, we can still continue to do some of the old-fashioned things, but still be open to newer things. Social media is free, and it's, you know, Facebook and LinkedIn. That's a great way to really source and try to recruit people from. But also, people will only, from my experience, if you are not really promoting yourself too much, or the company, they're probably not going to want to talk to you because they don't really know too much about you or the company. A lot of people that I interact with just feel like they know me. They feel like they have a relationship with me. They feel like I'm not just selling them on, you know, joining the company, but I'm also just, you know, showing fun things that we do, or, you know, anything like that. So, you know, it's okay to not be so stuffy and be a human and show your fun side and show your human side. And then also, even as you are reaching out to candidates, to applicants, texting nowadays, very, very important. I think that majority of us now, we probably do not answer phone numbers if we don't have them stored in our phones, because I know I'm one of them. So texting is a great way, right? Just send a quick text. Hey, I received your resume, or I found your resume on Indeed or wherever. You know, I would like to talk to you about an opportunity such and such. Great way to start connecting with them, you know, or even if your ATS system has texting feature, definitely use it. People don't really check emails anymore either. So, you know, you may not be successful with email responses. So that's what I'm saying. Keep up with the times. Texting. We all text. So candidates are going to respond much faster that way. And as you are screening someone, make sure to give them information about the company. Yes, you are screening them to find out more about them, but they also want to know about you too. So it's important to be knowledgeable about the company, telling them about the company, the culture, giving them history about the company, benefits, or just anything that will be attractive to them. And, you know, you want to be transparent, open and honest. During my pre-screen, we go over money. Money is not everything, but it is important, right? We all make decisions based on our lifestyle through money, right? So obviously we don't want to take pay cuts. We either want to make the same or more than where, you know, we're at. So be transparent with your applicants. Even if it's not posted on your website, when you have that initial conversation with them, be honest and say, hey, our starting pay for this role is such and such. You are eligible for bonuses, et cetera. You know, give them those numbers, because you don't want to put a person through the process and later on you come to find out you can't even afford them. So transparency in the beginning is very important. And as you move them along in the process through the interview process, give them information about the company. Send them the website link, send them the property's website, send them, the address to the location. And if once you confirm their interview within their confirmation email, just say, hey, this is tips, right? Tips what you should do before your interview, during your interview, and even after your interview, just so that way they know what are the next steps. So that way you don't leave them in the dark. Another thing I think is very important is to give candidates closure, right? So whether they don't make it to the interview or they don't make it after the interview, I think giving them closure within 24 to 48 hours is super helpful, is very important, because that way they know they were not selected. Okay, they can keep moving forward, because you do not want to ghost a candidate. We don't like it when candidates ghost us, so we cannot ghost them. So I think giving them closure, letting them know, hey, you were not selected. I think that that's very important.
There are many things that, great things that you just pointed out. And I wanted to say, I'm a big proponent of being open about salary. And I'm a big supporter of just advertising your pay within your ads. Like you said, what's the whole point of advertising whatever position, right? Let's say service manager. If you're $10,000 less than what the person thinks that, they should be making, what's the whole point of going through the interviewing process? And at the end, you waste their time and yours learning to find out that you can afford them. There's really no point. You also mentioned texting, right? That is very effective, way more effective than email or phone calls, because you can't get people to answer the phone. I had the same experience because, I do quite a bit of recruiting and reaching out to candidates myself. And I had to say that definitely texting is probably the one that, gets most response nowadays. What's that? What we just described here is just candidate behavior, right? So this brings me to the next question. What have you learned recently from candidates' behavior? And then how did the internet and then COVID-19 shaped that behavior? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think candidates now are very well educated when it comes to like money and knowing more about the company and things like that. Like I mentioned earlier, we have all these resources online like Glassdoor and, other avenues, LinkedIn and things like that, where we can find out more information about a company, not just through their website. We can really find out more about real employee reviews. And I think that when it comes to that, it's very important to make sure that, we are highlighting and showcasing our company, because this is what candidates want to do. This is what they want to look into. Now, also candidates nowadays, they're hot right now. We all need them. Like, it's like right now there's like a shortage of recruiters and there's so many candidates, right? It's a candidate market place right now. And so candidates now have really learned how to ask for more money. So now they're pricing themselves, their work, their experience. They're like not taking, less than, and they're adamant about it. So they know what they want. They've become very, very, well educated. And I think that that's why also us, the recruiters, have to make sure that we do our part and that we are fair and that we make sure that we treat our candidates with the respect that they deserve, right? Because we're hiring and they're looking for jobs. We both need each other. We got to help each other out, And so now, candidates have so many resources and helpful information. There are like free advice and tips online that candidates now can learn about recruiting and recruiter habits and things like that. So candidates are very, very now very well versed in how to really market themselves and ask for what they want. And and really now, from my experience, I've seen that they are very adamant. So they know what they want and they know what they're worth.
I love a few points that you're making right now. And one of the points is that in order for this deal to work, right, between you as an employer, as a recruiter, and the candidate, it has to be both ways. It's a two-way street. It's not
Right.
just how do we get these people in at any cost? Whatever we tell them, just get them in, get them to sign up. If you get them to sign up under a false pretense, or if you try to oversell, if you're overselling the position or the community you're gonna work, the job, what's gonna happen is you're underestimating people. People are very intelligent and very educated. All candidates, all positions, okay, in today's environment, they will learn that they were oversold soon enough.
Oh, yeah.
And the next thing that you know, you're gonna have people walking out on you, like no notice, no nothing. They'll come work for half a day and they'll realize that they were sold a bill of goods and they just like walk right out with no notice, no nothing. The second thing is there are no secrets, okay? We have to realize in this environment with the internet that there are no secrets. You can't keep a secret. People will walk right out. They'll talk to other people. They'll talk to their friends. They'll put it out on the internet. And before you know, what is the benefit? You do yourself a huge disservice. And you as an individual, when you try to have that type of behavior, you will damage yourself for a very long time. You're gonna tarnish your reputation, and your reputation will go around as a person that's dishonest, trying to oversell things that you actually can't offer. You're not, you don't have the ability to offer, and it ends up being very harmful to you, and also to your, to your company, to the company you work for. So great.
And just to piggyback on that, where, like I've mentioned before, transparency is big. I have, even in my experience, said to applicants, candidates, and said, hey, this is a tough property. This property has issues of XYZ, right? It could be team morale. So we need a strong manager who can come in and uplift, motivate, and improve team morale. It could be that this is an old property and there are lots of internal issues. It might be pretty with lipstick on because we've painted the cabinets and we put the nice, shiny appliances and all, but it's still internally, there's a lot of work, or whatever it is, just the area, sometimes some of our neighborhoods, some of our communities are not in the best neighborhoods, right? So I also even say that, hey, look, we've had team members who may have left because of the area. And I just want to make sure, are you comfortable with working at a location like that? And, I've said that to people during my pre-screen with them. And I'm like, I want to be honest with you because I don't want to go push you through the process. And then you join and you're like, oh no, this is not what I thought it was going to be, So, and when I give that to people, a lot of times I will have people that will say, you know what, I really appreciate you letting me know. I appreciate you letting me know. Some people are up for the challenge. They're like, oh yeah, I'm down for that. And then there might be others that might say, oh yeah, no, okay, keep me in mind for something else that comes up later, So, and it's that where the transparency, and then so now me and the candidate have built a relationship. Now they trust me and they know that I'm going to have, at the end of the day, I have the best interest of my hiring manager, but I also have the best interest of them because I don't want to keep backfilling these positions. I want to fill them with someone who's going to stay long-term, who's going to stay with us for a long time and not just, in the next month or so, leave us because this is not what they thought it was going to be.
Honesty, man, it's just that simple. It's just that simple. I love it. And I love that you have a passion for this too. I think many individuals out there think that just filtering or, holding to certain information, not sharing, it's actually helpful. I think the other way around. You should be yourself like you should make yourself, your company, like an open book. Tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let them make the decision, but let them make an educated decision, not a decision that's missing pieces of the puzzle. Because they'll eventually go and find those pieces of the puzzle. When they put them all together, if it's not pretty, it's not going to be pretty for you either. So benefit.
Yeah. And then I won't be able to hire anyone because they're going to be like, Nada, she omitted this information. She did not tell me this is going to happen.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I'm not like that.
And I thank you for that. I think it goes a long way.
Yes.
Neda, great conversation. I would love to keep it going. Unfortunately, we're about to wrap up here. The episode is about to come to an end. Before we wrap up, I'd like to give you the opportunity to, say something that maybe we have uncovered during our conversation, something that you want to leave the audience with.
Well, I will say, if you are a candidate in the candidate market at this time, I will say, let's not ghost your recruiter or your hiring manager. Please do not ghost us. This is a small and tight industry. Like, somebody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows you. And, you don't want to have that reputation that, oh no, I don't want to hire that person. I don't even want to talk to them because they didn't even tell me that they found a new job, or that they're no longer interested, or that they changed their mind. I think it's very important for the candidates not to burn their bridge, because when you ghost your recruiter and then you come back months later and that opportunity that you thought was going to work out didn't work out for you. So now you've come back running to the other recruiters to try to, get another job with them. You burn your bridges. It's a red flag. And you're probably thinking, well, I found another job. I thought it was going to be what I wanted, but I didn't. It wasn't. I think it's still important to text your recruiter, email your recruiter, call them and just say, quick message, say, hey, you know what, thank you so much for the opportunity. I cannot make it to the interview, or I'm no longer interested, but please keep me in mind for anything else in the future, or I'll reach out to you if things change in the future, because you do not want to close that door behind you. That's a big red flag for us, for recruiters and hiring managers. So that'll be my tip. Please don't ghost us. Just tell us short and sweet, hey, I changed my mind. I'm no longer interested. I found a new offer. I found a new job. Thanks so much. I'll reach out if things change. Great
tip indeed, Neda. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation, for sparing a little time of your busy day to come here to speak with me. This is great content. This is great information that you're willing to share right here during the episode.
Thanks.
I'm hoping to have you back here. I have a long list of questions we didn't even get to cover, and that'll make for a great second episode between you and I. So thank you very much again for coming, Neda.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adrian. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for everyone who watched and listened. Hopefully you took some nuggets in, and feel free to connect with me. If you're looking for a job, want to revamp your resume, spruce up your LinkedIn profile, or need that career training, hey, I'm your girl. Hit me up.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to watch us today. This is Multifamily Chronicles, episode number 15, and I'm your host, Adrian Danila. I hope to see you back here soon. Have a great day.